Welcome to History Adventuring. This is episode number 577. I'm Brad Hall, and today we're living by the Code of the West in old time in modern Phoenix, Arizona. I'm sure that you've heard of the Code of the West, maybe from movies or books or anything with a story about cowboys. And if you really don't know how it works, I understand. It's like the Pirates Code. More of a guideline than anything else, and it doesn't apply to everybody. Let's go back to the Old West and take a look. Men of honor lived by the code. Remember that back then it only applied to men, although nowadays women can live by the same code, and many do. Let's time travel back about 150 years, when Phoenix was still very new. Since the Code of the West is unwritten, it isn't as if we can find a list in books, though some people did try to write it down. I've seen it described as a chivalry code, used by knights of old, which makes sense to me, as it's something that men who consider themselves honorable have done throughout history. Of course, it doesn't apply to children, and it doesn't apply to women. Remember, this was 150 years ago. And it doesn't apply to this list, which, although it's limited, it's the best that I could find on short notice. Rustlers, cutthroats, murderers, desperados, mugs, pugs, thugs, nitwits, halfwits, dimwits, vipers, snipers, and con men. Men who lived by the code weren't perfect, of course, but they strived to be good and honorable men. They didn't harm women, children, or animals. They kept their nose out of other people's affairs, unless it became absolutely necessary, and then they would move with action and often be very violent. As law and order came to the Old West, these men seemed to disappear, but they're still around to this very day. On a lonely stretch of desert, they will wave from a distance to show that they mean no harm, and if they see someone in distress, they'll help. And just like in the movies, if they consider someone a stinker, you can refer to the previous list, they won't sit down and drink with them. These men, and women nowadays, recognize each other, and although they may not tip their hat or raise their visor if they're wearing armor, you can see them every day. And the best way to recognize them is to be one of them. This has been History Adventuring. I'll talk to you later.